I feel like I'm in Mordor in Lord of the Rings.
Patagonia, Argentina is just about as inhospitable as deserts come. It's cold, sometimes bitterly, always windy, and especially empty.
The Indians that inhabited southern Patagonia were collectively...
But people have called Patagonia home for over 10,000 years, and they still do.
Funding for The Desert Speaks was provided by Desert Program Partners, representing concerned viewers making a financial commitment to the education about and preservation of deserts, and by the Stonewall Foundation.
Nearly all of the coast of Patagonia is isolated and uninhabited by people. There are only a couple of cities, and the biggest one is this one, Comodoro Rivadavia. Its sole function has been to move goods from the coast to the interior, and from the interior to the coast.
Traveling from the isolated desert city of Comodoro Rivadavia on Argentina's coast to the Andes, where it borders with Chile, should give me a good cross-section of the Patagonian Desert. I'll get to see its landscape and meet some of its people, ancient arrivals and recent immigrants. The interior is nearly uninhabited. That's the kind of desert I'd like to see. My companion, Argentine archaeologist María José Figuerero, has studied the deep history of Patagonia for many years.
For many centuries, the interior was completely unknown.
We're on a paved road here.
Yeah.
How much pavement will we have?
For the first day or two, we're going to be on a paved road, and then we're going to hit the dirt roads and out for adventure on plenty of dust.
Wind?
Plenty of wind as well. So we'll have a complete picture of the whole transect from the mountains down to the sea.
Native Patagonians know Patagonian conditions better than anyone else. Harry Nauta should know. He's taking us to his home in the shadow of the Andes.
So how does the wind affect driving a vehicle like this?
The wind is always trying to push you off the road. You can see we're kind of unstable. And it's much easier on these paved roads than on the gravel roads. On the gravel roads, it can get dangerous sometimes.
Now, did somebody take a shot at you through your windshield here?
That was
a jealous husband or something?
A jealous husband, exactly. Those are stones on the gravel road. When you can't see, you need to replace the windshield.
Rocks are a hazard in the roads. The roads themselves can be hazardous to armadillos.
Here it is, the Patagonian picho or Patagonian armadillo. It's a cute little guy, isn't he? It's a cute face. He's kind of frightened now. But you should be grateful because we rescued him from being roadkill. See the claws, how they're made for digging both front and back, and then how they kind of rolls up in a ball to protect himself. They'll wiggle free. These are very tasty animals, and people hunt them in the country to eat. They taste a bit like suckling pig. And they also turn up in archaeological sites. You find the burnt shell. They mostly are alone. You never see them in groups. But I guess they get together to do their business.
It's awfully odd to be walking out here in the middle of the pampa or the plains and seeing these enormous pumps drilling oil.
But they're rather primitive looking. They look kind of like pterodactyls, so they're not that far out of place
Yeah,
among...
that's it.
Yeah, with dinosaurs in the petrified forest.
But they're an integral part of what the landscape here, because Patagonia is one of the prime oil districts in Argentina. In fact, they discovered oil in Comodoro Rivadavia in 1907. So from then on, North, Central, and South Patagonia has been one of the prime areas for oil. So Argentina is self-sufficient, can even export some. And well, many towns have grown up around oil digging.
It's critical for the energy policy of Argentina to have this production.
Definitely. So how fast is the wind blowing?
Well, the anemometer says this is about 48, 51 kilometers an hour, which is a little over 30 miles an hour with gusts. As we say in the Patagonia Chamber of Commerce, welcome to Patagonia. Another precious day in paradise.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get out of the wind. Well, you can tell that the pampa or the plains are really flat because the water can't run off. It collects in these little salt basins.
Right, and also added to the fact that you have very clay soil that's very impermeable, so it doesn't let it run off. And also with the sun and the wind concentrates and precipitates all the salt. So you have these salt pan formations. And at one time they tried to recover salts and make a little business, but this has been long since abandoned.
Trade routes are all about making money, and unfortunately, losing it as well. The technology to travel these routes changes with time. In its heyday, the railroad made possible the shipments of goods and people from the Andes to the sea, and vice versa.
This looks like a place whose time has come and gone.
Yeah, long gone. This is actually an old railway station. And this is actually what is left of what the original plan of the government was for getting all the produce from the new homesteads that were opened up to 1910 and 1920s out to the sea. And right side by side you have the new paved road.
Yeah.
That is the present way of communicating the Andes with the coast.
Why did they take the railroad out? It makes perfectly good sense to have one.
Well, trucks and lorries did away with the train and could go further than the train in new places. So these stations that were built every 20 kilometers between these two towns were abandoned, and the settlements that grew up next to the stations sometimes survived and sometimes totally disappeared.
It's got to be on this side.
Right, yeah. This is the name of this station. It's Colway Caique.
Colway Caique.
Yeah, this is an Indian name from the Tehueltenians that lived in this area.
So they took over an old Indian stomping place and made it into a railroad town.
Right, yeah.
Once we get away from the flat or rolling terrain, the pavement stops, and we seem to be stepping far back in time. It's where we find traces left by the first people who ventured into this windswept land.
There's been human occupation in Patagonia for at least 13,000 years, though of course there's more evidence of occupation later on you go in the sequence. And the peak of sites that we find are always after 2,000 years ago up to the present time. And one of the characteristics of the archaeology here is there's a lot of rock art. Rock art here in Patagonia is either located in either very hidden places, very private places, what could be interpreted as private places, but also in very visible places. So what we have here is a series of guanacos in two colors. The red was executed after the white guanacos because the red is on the white. You can see it in this patch over here. So at least it gives us a sequence of when they painted it. And
they're painting in red. Somebody came by after the white was done and said, I can do better than you can.
Probably. You can see it clearer over here. If you see two little things sticking out, the body is not bulging as much, and you have, again, the two little feet at the end. And on top of that, there's kind of red drips kind of coming down, and that comes from this big splotch here that doesn't have any definite form. And next to it, on the right, you have here an animal. I don't know what it calls to mind in your case.
Yeah, I could go with an armadillo.
Well, I would be obliged to agree with you, and I really do think that we have here a portrayal of an armadillo or a piche. And so we can more or less date these paintings according to that to at least 2,000 years old, maybe a little bit older.
They're a lot older than comparable North American rock art, painting rock art.
Rock can be a canvas for art, but it can also be hell on tires.
How do you feel about Mercedes jacks, Harry? When you're in Patagonia and the highway is a dirt road which carries maybe 1 or 2 vehicles every couple of hours, and your Mercedes van gets a flat tire and you can't fit the jack underneath it, you begin to think that the wind is simply one unending curse, particularly when it blows sand in your eyes as you're trying to jack it up. So I'm very sympathetic with my friend Harry.
Could be worse.
In the lowlands, it was mostly the wind that shaped the landscape. The more we get into the mountains, the clearer it becomes that something else is at work. It turns out that it's ice that shaped much of the land.
Most of what we're seeing is the work of the glaciers, and everything that we see is younger than 13,000 years, which is when this area was uncovered.
So by a kilometer of ice?
Oh, definitely, at least that, because this was part of the continental ice field, so it would have been really, really, really thick.
It's hard to think of that, but as it moved, it just carved this landscape all
Well,
up.
yes, most of what we're seeing is scoured bedrock, which means that rock that's been scraped and totally uncovered by the ice. Imagine ice scraping and destroying rock.
Well, if you got a kilometer thick of ice, it can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you can tell what direction the ice is going, because I mean everything is rounded in the same direction. You know, we have this very old but very dramatic landscape of volcanism, and then we have this molded landscape by the glaciers, which is soft and red and brown and kind of warm looking. So we have the contrast between the two extremes, you know?
About 5,000 feet elevation here. It looks like we're in the cauldron of the devil.
Yeah, it's pretty stark landscape, isn't it? It's the volcanic plateau that distinguishes the Lake Buenos Aires, which is a big basaltic mass that upwelled more than 7 million years ago.
It looks like it happened yesterday.
Yes, it did. Well, it did happen at several different intervals, and you have several explosions dating 5, 7, even as near as 700,000 years ago.
This is a land of fire and brimstone. Look at that dike. It was a place where magma started to come up toward the Earth's surface through a crack, but never made it. Yeah. And since that time, the dirt around it has been just excavated by wind mostly, I suppose, and some rain. And it looks like there's dragon scales, or maybe a dragon bursting out of the earth there.
Yeah, it certainly looks mysterious. I don't think it can happen in this kind of a landscape.
Boy, I feel like I'm in Mordor in Lord of the Rings.
Definitely. This is a very Tolkien-ish landscape.
Just when we think we'll never see another village again, we drop into a valley that has something that could be called a town. Harry calls it home. His family's estancia, or ranch, is nearby.
This is the metropolis of Perito Moreno. Why the name, and why is it here?
Perito Moreno was one of our real national heroes. This guy, he was an explorer, and he defended Argentine interests when they marked the frontier, the limit with Chile. This is we have 4,000 people living here, more or less, and it's the largest town for 500 kilometers north till you get to Esquel.
All these trees here, were they planted for windbreak?
They were all planted for windbreak. We had none of these trees. These are all exotic trees brought from Europe. My grandfather was the one that came out from New Zealand 1910, more or less, and 1915 he started off with this place. Scottish origin, grandfather and grandmother, and on my father's side, Dutch origin.
So that's a good European combination. Are most of the owners of estancias of European origin?
Yes. Most are European. A lot of Spanish and Basques and some Italians, but a lot of English-speaking people out from Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland principally.
So sheep seem to be very big in your ancestry as well as in your present.
Yes, yes.
Immigrants came to Patagonia from other parts of Europe as well, and not just for livestock.
We immigrated to South America in 1948. My dad, along with two of my uncles, decided that they were sick and tired of the war. They decided to make a change to give us a better life that didn't involve bombings and war. Others, like teachers and doctors, came with us. We were self-sufficient. We even made our own bread and butter. What do you think of the wind when you arrived? Well, it was different, somewhat strange. We believed it would only last for a short time, but it never went away except for a short time during the spring.
These trees were planted in August of 1996.
Son semi-enanos.
So these are semi-dwarf trees. Makes them easier to harvest the cherries from.
Algunas variedades que se cosechan en 2 días.
The harvest season is only 20 days long, and there are some varieties that only last a couple days, some go longer, up to 10 days. ¿Puedo?
Sí, sí, por eso los traje.
Yes, of course. That's why I brought you out here.
That is a real cherry. This is not a fake cherry. This is a very good time to be in Patagonia.
This has 28 millimeters.
So that's a 28 millimeter cherry.
We're going to pick them when they are 32.
Do you pick them according to the size or the color?
La comes.
So the real way of testing whether a cherry is ready is you eat them.
So it looks as if the dog likes cherries.
Y no come cualquiera.
But he won't just eat any one. Just the sweet ones, huh?
They've developed here in Los Antiguos a special breed of dogs that live on cherries and assist in the harvesting. Right, boy? And they're small dogs too, and completely lacking in affection. My cherry picking dog.
Acá se producía exclusivamente alfalfa.
Alfalfa
Sí,
en este lugar?
Sí.
So before they got here, all they had here were fields of alfalfa. So when he discovered that 1 bale of alfalfa on the market was worth the same price as 1 kilo of cherries, out went the alfalfa and in came the cherry trees.
La alfalfa y plantar los cerezos.
Just down the road from the cherry orchards, the town of Los Antiguos is located at the edge of a vast glacial lake. It also happens to be the location of a 1,000-year-old cemetery.
The Indians that inhabited southern Patagonia were collectively named Tehuelche. That wasn't their own name. It was,
Tehuelche, huh?
yeah. So that wasn't their name. It was a name given to them by their northern neighbors, and it means fierce people. The ones that lived here had a name that means resin eaters, because they chewed the resin of the local tree, and we don't really know that much about them.
Well, this looks like no random pile of rocks here.
There's a selection of rocks here, and all these have been selected to make up cairns for burials of people. They used to believe that only one big Indian chief was buried there, but we found through archaeological digs that these burials were used once and again, and they buried adults, young people, men, women, children.
In the same grave here?
Yeah, it's
Really?
been used often and often. So it's a good indicator of how people moved in the landscape, how they returned and how they took possession by marking and remarking it over time, stating their ties to the land by burying their ancestors and coming back and doing it again in one and the same place. This looks towards the lake, and you'll usually find these on the hillside looking out on a very visible spot. So there's obviously some symbolic meaning between the relationship between this open space and the water right by here. So it's a way of connecting the two. Los Antiguos, the town that is nearby, that means the ancient ones, refers to the fact that people came here to be buried. They were not just aimless nomads, which is the general portrayal of the Tehuelche nomadic Indians here. The area could have been inhabited as much as 9,000 years ago. But burial sites like this, concentration, are no more than at least 1,000 years old.
The resin eaters may not have had the pleasure of barbecued armadillo. We, however, are fortunate to be invited to an honest-to-goodness Patagonian party called an asado, complete with music and dance and barbecued lamb. The tradition originated in the Argentine plains called the Pampa. Now it's been imported into the Andes.
For the meat to stay juicy and tasty, you need to prepare it just right.
This is Patagonian lamb. This is not any old lamb.
No. It's already been on the fire for an hour, and it's got to be there for another half an hour. And Juan has been very careful in not opening up any more than necessary, so it won't
keep
lose
the juice inside,
it will
huh?
keep the juice inside.
A barbecue like this can be any kind of meat, whether depending on who's coming. If the governor comes, that's a little bit different. But you can use pork, you can use beef. We are treated to lamb.
We don't put salt in it until later.
Salt, no salt is a big decision, and when to put it on, whether to speed it up or slow it down, to put it when it's facing the fire or turn it around when it's just going to be done. So every master has his own tricks, and Juan has his, and he's just let us into his secret.
Down here in the country, or much nearer the country, these traditions are much stronger. So instead of tango, they will have a folklore lesson. And also, it's very much part of their heritage, their parents or their relatives, or they may have people who work on a farm or own a farm, so this is much nearer their everyday life. And they'll try it out whenever there is a special event, a special asado, gathering, celebration, or a fiesta gaucha as well. Folklore here has a strong influence from the Pampean area, so you have dances between men and men only and women only, accompanied by bombos with the drums and or the guitar. And all these dances are translated here with local and regional melodies, but it's a strong rural sense that is found all in Pampa and in Patagonia.
So the drums are actually made from a trunk of a tree, and they hollow out. They actually remove all the material from the inside, so it's an entire trunk hollowed out.
Right. And well, obviously the wood is important. As you said, there's a study drum, which is not made of as good as wood as the one that you would use for a more expert drum player.
Then they use hides, various hides, for the beating surface. What I thought was interesting is they tune them. They can actually tune them with this leather
like palms.
here, so it can tighten and loosen and produce a different tone as they do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is not a drum that showed up yesterday. I mean, the style is not.
No. But drums and the beat is an integral part of the folklore, especially in the. This is like a fantasy in the sense that it's all instrumental. But it's wonderful for the dance. The men dance on the floor themselves, so it helps keep the beat.
It is mesmerizing, and obviously a lot of practice goes into doing the rhythms.
Malambo brings to mind the pacing of a horse starting out in the morning, really like an imitation of wildlife or wild horses in many cases.
That is not easy dancing.
No, definitely no, and not, especially not with the grace and the elegance that these
they're holding
young
themselves
men are doing
very,
it.
very upright.
Yeah,
And
well,
that
you can
takes-
see a proud cult. It is really very mesmerizing to watch them dancing.
The Patagonia is included not just in Argentina, but neighboring Chile as well. It's not a matter of a political boundary. It's a region defined by a plateau, by climate, especially by wind.
Until a century or so ago, people paid little attention to the border between Argentina and Chile, and animals and plants never did. All of them share one thing in common: the challenge of surviving and thriving in this South American desert in spite of the wind. In the driest place on Earth, signs of ancient human life are etched on the hillsides, ritually buried in desiccating sands, and hidden away in a sealed vault. Along the Pacific, in the hyper-dry Atacama Desert of northern Chile, people have lived for more than 9,000 years without any rain. We're beginning to understand how. Next time on The Desert Speaks.
This is a dog with a specialized diet. Otro para ti. What do you... Specialized? Ooh, para ti. Gently. So this is a very specialized dog. Specializes only in cherries from Los Antiguos, Patagonia. What a good guy.
Funding for The Desert Speaks was provided by Desert Program Partners, representing concerned viewers making a financial commitment to the education about and preservation of deserts, and by the Stonewall Foundation,